So this is going to be kind of a fun conversation. Honestly, I don't know where it's going to go. My thought was grab Simon, bring him in here, and ask him a bunch of questions. But first of all, so Simon Marx is with us. He's an intern, but turning into an employee over time, a team member. So we're excited Simon's here. Simon, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life right now. So you're still at ASU.
Still at ASU, currently working on my degree in project management. Having a great time there. Junior right now.
Nice.
In my second semester.
Yeah.
I am still planning on graduating in 4. I'm trying to think now. Gosh, hate that question. What's going on with me? Let me think about that. That's the easiest question to answer,
but not.
Because usually I love telling people what I'm doing here, right?
People ask me. Tell us what you're doing here. What are you doing here?
Well, here I help out with anything that I can get my hands on, sitting in with conversations, talking to clients, managing the phones, talking to anyone who calls in looking for help or who is trying to get acquainted with KDI. I am able to work with anyone here. All of our team members here at KDI are extremely inviting, extremely welcoming, knowledgeable, and always willing to share that knowledge with me.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, I really feel welcomed, and I've been impressed with the way they spread that to everyone. Everywhere I've been, be it inside the office or outside the office, that positivity I feel really is infectious, and it catches me every time I'm here, and I always I smile. I mean, you can probably see me smiling a lot around here.
I do. In fact, you've already become just a great advocate for the team, and I would say that it's unusual that our team says the same things you're saying, but it's not unusual because, well, frankly, first of all, I think they've been firmly vetted before they're allowed in. We move people out quickly if they're not a good fit, which is pretty rare because we vet them so much before they get here. But we, you'll never hear anybody say that's not my job. You'll never hear anybody say I can't help you. Most people are walking around with a smile on their face. Every day is not joy and sunshine, but most people are happy in the firm. But what I really wanted, it kind of struck me. So we just finished up a call, a podcast that Carrie and I did on processes and systems. And my thought was, you started with us at the intern level.
Right.
So really, we just handed you everything we could throw at you. First of all, what do you think as an intern, as opposed to, let's say, working fast food or working a traditional job, you've had the opportunity to sit on client conversations. You've been able to talk directly to clients. You've been able to work with marketing. You've worked with the front office. You've worked with operations. You've worked with advisors. What advantage, whether you stayed in this business or you went somewhere else, what would you say the benefit of having been an intern versus taking a regular job? What do you think you've learned over this time?
For me so far, a huge thing that I adapt really well depending on the expectations that are put upon me. If I'm at a fast food job, the expectation is that I'm going to serve the food. A lot of people might see that as a lower level job. It's a very important job, but a lot of people might not expect the person who's doing that job to be performing at a super high level. They might not be surprised if their order is wrong. But here, the expectation is that you're going to do a really great job. You're going to knock it out of the park. And being held to that expectation and being surrounded by people who live up to that expectation so often helps me stay focused. It helps me stay grounded. It keeps my eyes up. I keep my eye on the back of I get my head on a swivel, so it's like I'm always ready to do the next thing, the next correct thing. I feel like it allows me to be extra prepared, because when I know I'm about to do something that requires a lot of thinking or preparation, when I'm able to prepare for a larger task,
right,
I accomplish that task.
Yeah. You were with us before we transitioned our broker dealer, before we made the change. You were here through that transition, which we all know was a ton of work. Quite candidly, you operated swimmingly through that. You took on a bunch of tasks that required a lot of work and a lot of accuracy, and you performed in those. I guess, let me ask this question. How do you think the experience of being an intern has affected your experience in school? Let's answer that question first. How would you say what you've experienced here affects what you do when you go to ASU every day?
Well, I'll tell you for sure, it helps me with group projects. Mentioned before how other people around the office are really willing to step in, lend a hand, even in areas that they aren't expected to. Being able to witness everyone coordinating with each other to lend a hand like that, and when I get the opportunity to show up and alleviate some of that pressure and stress off of some of my coworkers, I think that really helps me. For example, in group projects, even when I complete my assignments, then I can reach out to my classmates and say, hey, anything with this I can help you with? Where's our progress with this? I feel really comfortable both here and at school at this point, taking my work and saying to any of my team members here or to a professor or to a classmate, hey, does this look right? Anything you would add to this? Getting other people's opinions and perspective, I feel
and
I feel a lot more comfortable doing.
That's not normal. You know that, right?
Well, I gotta say, I
mean, that's not typical. Most people, I hate it when people say your age, because I think, too often we fall back on that. But there's very few people that are willing to say, what else? What else can I be doing? What else can make this better? Typically we try to execute on a syllabus and then consider if it checks all those boxes, we're done. But basically you're ensuring that you do better by asking the opinion of your peers and your professor. And do you think I'm sure I know you pretty well. I mean, for the folks that are listening or watching this podcast, I spent a couple weeks with Simon on a trip. He's actually one of my son's best friends, and we traveled through Europe and Japan together. So I know you're an inquisitive person. I know that you are really a deep thinker. You think about a lot of things. And do you think that some of that really did rub off from being in a work environment, that it got better? Or do you think it was just a natural thing of who you are?
Well, they say iron sharpens iron. And
sure.
I absolutely feel that way. I think any positive trait that I have, I think I'm able to see in my peers and teammates and coworkers. And I think that, all the things that I do well, I'm always able to find someone who does it differently, better or differently. And with that, I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by so many people who are willing to provide perspective and advice and help me grow and help me develop and help me understand myself better. So it's all together. All these experiences really help accumulate me to be the person I am, and will continue to improve the person that I am.
I'm realizing right now that I probably don't want to air this podcast, because people are going to want to hire you away from us if they're listening to you, because as a business owner, the things you're saying, we crave. I mean, as an owner of a business, we want people to say, I learned from this, or I found out that this person's doing it different, and maybe we can. I mean, is it not? If you're a business owner watching this or listening to this podcast, I mean, this is what we want. We want people who are driven. We want people who ask questions. We want people who are inquisitive. The only way any organization gets better is if somebody has a new idea, if somebody has a better way to do something. And so I want you to understand that the fact that you're listening to or getting to watch this means, I'm assuming you're not going to try and recruit my wonderful intern who's going to be working for us. So
thank you very much.
But I mean that. I mean, you've been a treasure here, and have no doubt that you'll continue to be. What as you've gone through the process of going to school, of working, ASU is a tough school to be really focused when you first go to school for most people. I mean, everybody knows that it's got a reputation of having a lot of fun. But here you are, your junior year, you've done well in school. I know you've had excellent grades and you've been very accomplished. What would you say to someone who's thinking about interning, first of all? And then for some of our clients who have kids older kids and they're getting ready to go into the working world and or they're at school, what kind of things would you say are definite benefits to having been an intern?
I was saying a bit before too. I think it helps provide a lot of structure. If you're trying to shape your schedule and trying to understand, you know, how you can manage your time, being able to have time set out for your classes, time set out to go to your internship or your job, time set out to have fun, which is incredibly important to make sure you don't get burnt out. I think that I'm going to need you to say the question again because I've started kind of rambling. So,
Well, no, that was perfect. So the first part of the question was, what would you tell another intern? But then what would you tell, a parent or a family member? Because a lot of us in business, first of all, I would say that anybody that's entrepreneurial, I can't really speak for, I've never been anything but an entrepreneur. I've always
Right.
owned my own or knew that I wasn't going to work for somebody else for very long because I kind of, marched to my own drum. And frankly, we try to hire entrepreneurial people within our organization. People are going to think for themselves, think like an owner, act like an owner, own their work. But so for the people that understand the value of their child being exposed to business, what are some of the big takeaways you would share with a parent or somebody else that's coaching a young person to try their hand at interning?
right. So being an intern allows you to take that step into the professional world, right? A lot of younger people get careers in places with the expectation that it's going to be a short-term thing, a few months at a food restaurant or a little bit at a clothing store. But I think being an intern allows you to see what it could look like far out in the future.
A day in the life, right?
Completely. Day in the life. You get to see what people at different levels of your organization are working through. You get to pick their brains, understand why they're doing the things they're doing instead of just, seeing them do it. I think being there, being a contributor to that whole process, I think is extremely valuable. And
I think I would pair off what you said and say that I've actually witnessed it in you because, again, you were already articulate and intelligent and could carry on a great conversation with adults and older people. However, when you first started, you were a little more tentative. You didn't quite know 100% what you could or couldn't say, or if you were allowed to give input to some degree.
we'll see. Yeah, of course.
And now, I mean, you're just one of us. I mean, if we're in a team meeting and somebody brings up a topic and you have something to add, you jump right in. So I would say that also takes away some of the mystery of the professional environment so that you can be confident and comfortable. It's allowed you to see that we're just people. We're all, today we're casual. It's Casual Fridays. We're doing this podcast. And, but most of the day we're in our professional drab and, have a different level in the office when we're seeing clients. So it kind of takes away that persona, that there's a barrier to entry when
Right.
you've already been inside. Right. So
I completely agree. I think definitely it was spooked a little bit coming here on my first day, understanding the reputation of KDI and the work that I know goes into making everything work and not sure how I would fit into the whole thing. Absolutely after my time spent here, I feel like I understand the whole picture a lot better. I feel like I understand the people, which is, the most important part, that we are people who work hard but have needs and have visions and goals, and being able to help each other reach those things, I think is one of our strengths and has helped me to understand my own goals a lot better too.
can't tell you how how good that makes me feel just to hear that that's your view of it, being inside. That's awesome. Anything else that you want to add to anything about this experience, or do you think you've pretty much been able to speak to it?
Well, I've had a fantastic experience here, and I can't speak yet. Cut that part out with the other thing. But I've had a fantastic experience to this point, and I would say to any parent of a younger child or any young adult who's looking to intern, I would say absolutely go for it, because there's always things to take away from any experience. And especially if you're doing an internship in a field you're interested in, it helps you understand if it's really where you want to go to. And if it is, then you're stacking up very valuable experience. You can ask all the questions you want. It's really one of the best places to learn. I think maybe even more than college in some ways, getting your getting a hands-on experience.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your candor. Thank you for your honesty. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for
love
having
you, Simon.
me.
Glad you're here.
Great to be here.
Thanks so much.